Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys a simple technique to achieve a beautiful 3D flower in resin coasters. After mixing my part A and my part B resin for about 3 to 5 minutes, I separate it into a smaller cup and continue mixing to make sure that it's mixed well, and this is going to be my base clear coat on the coasters. Then I start to pour the clear resin into the molds, and I'm doing my best to make sure that I'm pouring an even amount. I'm using a torch gun to pop any air bubbles, and I'm moving the torch gun in a quick manner to be sure not to burn my resin or my silicone molds. I'm setting the pigments that I'm going to be using aside, and I'm also going to be using this gold tinted crushed glass in the center of the flowers. I take some into the palm of my hands, and carefully with a small spoon I add it into the center of the molds. Then I use a wooden stick to push them closer together and to make sure that they're centered. I'm also going to be using these small gold tinted rocks in the center as well. I add 3 of them into each mold, and again with the wooden stick I'm using it to push it more to the center. I've allowed some time to pass so that my resin has slightly thickened, and now I'm going to be separating the resin into smaller cups to add the pigments. All of the pigments that I'm going to be using are by Just Resin, and the first shade I'm using is BFCM Candy Red. I make sure to stir the pigment in the container that it comes in before I add it into my resin. Then I take a small amount on my wooden stick and mix it into my resin for a few minutes. The next shade I'm going to be using is Rose Gold, and it's a beautiful pigment and also a perfect example of why you should always stir the pigments in the container first. When I open the lid, the color looks more of a deep orange than a rose gold. All of the luster has fallen to the bottom of the container, so while I'm mixing, you can gradually see the difference in the color of the pigment. Again, I take some onto my wooden stick and mix it into my resin for a few minutes. This is the last pigment I'm going to be mixing, and it's a pigment that we haven't used yet, and it's in the shade Beige. I repeat that same process of stirring it in the container, taking a little bit onto my wooden stick, and then mixing it with my resin for a few minutes. Now that all of my pigments are mixed in, I'm ready to start pouring, and I'm starting off with the Candy Red. I squeeze the tip of my silicone cup, and this is to allow less resin to come out when I'm pouring, and I'm just going around the mold in a circular motion. And I do the exact same thing in the rest of the molds. Now I'm going in with my second pigment, which is the Rose Gold. And I'm doing the same circular motions right beside my Candy Red circle. Again, I'm squeezing my silicone cup so that too much resin doesn't come out. Now for my last pigment, Beige, I'm pouring that in a small circle in the center right alongside my Rose Gold. Once I'm done pouring, I go in with the torch gun again and make sure to pop any air bubbles. By now you can see that the pigmented resin has slightly moved, and it's going to move a lot more throughout time. Now with my wooden stick, I'm going to be dragging it through the resin from the outer edge into the center, and this will create what looks like flower petals. The only thing I would have done differently is, as you can see here, I left the center very clear, and I would have liked to, with my wooden stick, done a swirl through the center so that there's not so much of that clear space. I did some final touches, and I used the torch gun once more to make sure that there were no air bubbles before I left them to cure. And here's a clip of me demolding the coasters. I added a heat-resistant top coat and a gold trim, and here's the final product. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Follow me on Instagram, Summer Girl Designs, and my mom's Instagram, Wild Heart Resin Art.